Imagine being told that simply not having sex without any disease, without injury, without aging can slowly change your mood, disturb your sleep, increase stress, and quietly affect how your body functions. This isn't fear-mongering. It is an opinion, it's biology. Today, we're going to talk about what really happens to your body when you don't have sex for a long time. Sex isn't just about pleasure or relationships, it's a biological signal, a message your body receives that says things are connected, regulated, and balanced. When that signal disappears for a long period of time, the body adapts, but not every adaptation is positive. To understand this, we need to look beyond the act itself. Sex includes physical closeness, touch, bonding, and the hormonal responses that come with it. When these experiences are missing for months or even years, the first place your body reacts is the brain. During sexual activity, your brain releases key chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. Dopamine is responsible for motivation and pleasure. Oxytocin creates emotional bonding and lowers stress. Endorphins naturally reduce pain and anxiety. When sexual activity stops for long periods, these chemicals are released less frequently. The result often shows up subtly: increased irritability, mood swings, feeling emotionally flat or disconnected. Many people think their personality is changing when in reality their brain chemistry is slowly adjusting to a lack of stimulation it once relied on. Stress is another major factor. Research shows that regular sexual activity helps lower cortisol, the primary stress hormone. When sex is absent for a long time, cortisol levels can remain higher than normal. This makes stress feel heavier, small problems feel bigger, and relaxation harder to achieve. This is often where sleep problems begin. After sex, the body naturally enters a relaxed state. That's why many people sleep better afterward. When that cycle disappears, sleep quality can decline. You may lie in bed feeling tired, but your mind won't shut off. Sleep becomes lighter, interrupted, and less refreshing. Next, the immune system quietly feels the change. Regular sexual activity has been linked to improved immune response, including higher levels of certain protective antibodies. When sex is absent, the immune system doesn't collapse, but it loses that extra support. Recovery from minor illnesses may take longer. The body can feel more sluggish overall. Now let's talk about the heart and circulation. Sex is a form of moderate physical activity. It raises heart rate, improves blood flow, and supports cardiovascular health. When this activity is removed, especially in people who already live sedentary lifestyles, another source of natural movement disappears. At this point, many people start to feel guilt or worry. But it's important to be clear, not having sex is not a moral failure or a personal flaw. The issue isn't the absence itself, it's ignoring the body's signals and not understanding how deeply connected physical intimacy is to overall health. And this is just the beginning, because beyond the brain's stress, sleep, immunity, and heart health, there are deeper changes happening, especially when it comes to hormones, confidence, and how the body responds to long-term deprivation. One of the most significant long-term effects of not having sex shows up in the hormonal system, and this is where many changes become more noticeable over time. Hormones act like messengers inside the body. When one message goes silent for too long, the entire system has to recalibrate. In men, regular sexual activity with healthy testosterone regulation. Testosterone isn't just about sex drive. It affects energy levels, muscle maintenance, bone density, confidence, and even motivation. When sexual activity is absent for long periods, testosterone levels don't suddenly crash, but they can gradually trend lower. This can lead to feeling less driven, more fatigued, and mentally less sharp. In women, long-term sexual inactivity can influence estrogen balance and vaginal health. Reduced blood flow and stimulation may lead to dryness or discomfort over time, which can create a feedback loop where intimacy feels less appealing, further reinforcing avoidance. Again, this isn't about blame, it's about understanding how the body responds to prolonged inactivity. Beyond hormones, the nervous system also adapts. Touch plays a powerful role in regulating the nervous system. Physical intimacy activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for relaxation and recovery. Without regular activation, the body can stay stuck in a mild fight or flight mode even when there's no real danger. This is why some people feel constantly on edge without knowing why. Their body isn't getting enough signals that it's safe to relax. Over time, this can increase anxiety and reduce emotional resilience. Another overlooked area is pain perception. Sexual activity triggers endorphin release, which naturally reduces pain sensitivity. Without this regular release, people may notice aches feel more intense, chronic pain feels harder to manage, and physical discomfort lingers longer. Confidence and self-image also take a hit. Sexual expression is deeply tied to how people perceive themselves. When intimacy is missing for long periods, some individuals begin to question their attractiveness or worth, even if nothing about them has objectively changed. This mental shift can quietly erode self-esteem. The body also becomes more sensitive to loneliness. Physical intimacy doesn't just satisfy desire, it reinforces connection. Without it, emotional isolation can feel stronger, even in people who are socially active. The brain is wired to associate touch with belonging, and when that signal is missing, feelings of detachment can grow. For some, libido itself begins to change. There's a common belief that desire naturally builds the longer you abstain, but for many people, the opposite happens. Sexual desire can decrease when it's not used because the brain reduces its expectation of reward. This doesn't mean desire is gone forever. It simply means the system has adapted to a new baseline. Importantly, the body doesn't punish you for not having sex. It conserves energy, it lowers expectations, it adjusts. But adaptation doesn't always mean optimal health. This is where many people misunderstand their bodies. They assume feeling numb, less motivated, or emotionally distant is just part of life, when in reality it's the result of long-term unmet biological needs. And yet, the most critical question isn't whether sex is necessary, it's whether the body is receiving enough connection, stimulation, and safety signals in other ways. Because the body is surprisingly flexible, and even without sex, many of these systems can be supported, but only if you understand what's missing and why it matters. When sexual activity is absent for a long time, the body doesn't just lose stimulation, it slowly forgets certain responses. Blood flow patterns change, nerve sensitivity adjusts. Muscles involved in sexual function can weaken slightly due to lack of use, much like any other muscle in the body. This doesn't mean permanent damage, but it does mean the body becomes less responsive over time. In men, this can show up as reduced arousal sensitivity or slower physical response when intimacy eventually returns. In women, it can present as discomfort or reduced natural lubrication. These changes are reversible, but only when the body is reintroduced to healthy stimulation and relaxation. Another important area affected is emotional regulation. Sex helps regulate emotions by releasing oxytocin, which promotes trust, calmness, and bonding. Without it, emotional stress can accumulate more easily. People may find themselves more reactive, less patient, or emotionally drained without understanding why. This lack of emotional regulation can also impact relationships beyond intimacy. Communication can feel harder. Small misunderstandings may escalate faster, not because someone has changed, but because the body is operating without one of its natural calming mechanisms. Over time, the body may begin prioritizing survival over connection. Energy is conserved, desire is dialed down. This is the body protecting itself from disappointment or stress. While this response is adaptive, it often comes at the cost of joy, closeness, and emotional depth. It's important to clarify that choosing not to have sex, whether for personal, religious, or life circumstances, is not harmful in itself. The issue arises when physical touch, emotional connection, and stress relief are also missing. The body doesn't just need sex, it needs signals of safety, warmth, and belonging. These signals can come from other sources: meaningful relationships, physical activity, affectionate touch, emotional openness, deep rest, and stress management. When these are present, the body can remain balanced even without sexual activity. But when all forms of connection are removed, the effects compound, mental fatigue increases, motivation drops, the world feels heavier, not dramatically, but quietly. The most powerful takeaway is awareness. When you understand what your body is missing, you stop blaming yourself, you stop assuming something is wrong with you. Instead, you begin supporting your biology in healthier ways. The body is not broken, it's responsive. It adapts to the signals it receives. And when those signals change, so does how you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. Understanding this gives you control, because when intimacy returns, or when connection is restored in other forms, the body remembers, it recalibrates, it responds. Not having sex for a long time doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're broken, unhealthy, or failing in any way. What it means is that your body is doing what it has always done best, adapting to the environment you place it in. Your body listens to patterns, It responds to what's present and what's missing. When physical intimacy disappears for a long time, the body doesn't panic, it adjusts. Hormones shift, sensitivity changes. Emotional responses soften or dull, not as a punishment, but as protection. The danger isn't in abstinence itself. The real risk is misunderstanding the signals your body sends and ignoring its needs for connection, touch, emotional safety, and stress relief. When those needs go unmet for too long, the effects quietly spread into mood, sleep, confidence, motivation, and overall health. But the most important thing to remember is this: none of these changes are permanent. The human body is remarkably resilient. When healthy intimacy returns, or when connection is rebuilt through other meaningful forms, the body responds. Balance can be restored. Sensitivity can return. Energy and emotional depth can come back. Awareness changes everything. When you understand what's happening inside your body, you stop judging yourself. You stop forcing yourself into shame or confusion. Instead, you begin working with your biology, not against it. Because health isn't just about what you avoid. It's about what you allow: connection, understanding, and care for your body's natural rhythms. And when you give your body what it needs, it remembers how to feel alive again.